What a pleasant 3 days we've had weather-wise here in St. Louis. Not so much on the field, but the Reds will try to break that tonight. They've lost the first two, but they're trying to get one this evening against the Cardinals. It's the Reds and the Cardinals here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and pleasant good evening, everyone, on this Wednesday here in St. Louis. Along with Chris Walsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch, and welcome to Reds baseball. Well, the Reds wrap up this series tonight, Chris, against the Cardinals, and they'll do it with the youngest of the 9 rookie pitchers they've sent out to the mound this year in Brandon Finnegan.
Yeah, but the only one who's pitched in a World Series already. And not only the Major League World Series, but also the College World Series last year. It has been a roller coaster ride for Brandon Finnegan ever since he was drafted and signed by the Kansas City Royals last year. Fresh out of TCU, where he pitched in the College World Series. But he may have not have pitched a better start yet for the Reds than he did his last time out at the big league level. 5 innings against the Milwaukee Brewers, got his first career win as a Red, and makes him 4-0 on the year.
Well, he wants to be a starter, and he'll make his second start tonight. Meanwhile, Lance Lynn, he's had a nice year this year, but September has not been very kind to him.
This guy has been in the playoffs ever since he's made the major league, so he doesn't know anything different about the season ending at the end of September. He's a guy, though, that has really struggled lately. His control has been a problem. You know, he's a high fastball pitcher, meaning that he throws about 80% fastballs. He cuts them, he sinks them. But when you don't have fastball command, other teams begin to tee off, and that's what's happened with Lance Lynn lately.
But 2 guys that have done very well against him, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce.
Well, both these guys left-handers, and it really gives you an indication that, you know, Lance Lynn, a fastball pitcher, right-handed, not with a lot of other breaking stuff. He's got to really spot that stuff up in order to get these 2 hitters out. And right now, Votto and Bruce are swinging the bat very well.
Speaking of Jay Bruce, he has 7 hits on this road trip, 5 of them home runs, 3 of them, Chris, prodigious home runs.
450. 450. That's the way he likes to hit them. I told him around the batting cage today, you don't even bother to hit him unless you're going to hit him 450 feet or more. You know what? He says they try to jam him, and he unjams them 450. And that's just the way we like to see Jay Bruce do it.
Well, if he can do it tonight, if Joey Votto can do it tonight, maybe the Reds can get out of St. Louis with a win against this Cardinal club. All right, coming up, Jim Day will have more on Todd Frazier flashing the leather last night here in Busch.
USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good, it's Skyline time. Underneath the arch, the finale of a 3-game set here in St. Louis and the finale of a long road trip for Cincinnati. Reds would certainly like to wake up the bats tonight, but the leather, well, they've been flashing that all year, and Todd Frazier was certainly flashing it last night. This wasn't even the most publicized play, but it was a big one. Runner at third base, as long a throw as a third baseman will have on a ground ball. Saved a run, got the Reds out of an inning, but then he bettered himself later. Foul ball coming into the camera well. Kiva Sampson saves him, along with a little bit of help from yours truly. But what an out. And Frazier talked about his defensive plays after the game.
No, I've done that a couple times. You know, sometimes you gotta play with reckless and abandon. And you know, when you're going after a ball, you got to pretend like there's no wall or no railing there, and that's basically what I do and try and get every ball and help the pitchers out.
I think when you see the pictures of it, the best part to me was you reaching between the legs and showing the umpire that you actually caught the ball while you're still dangling upside down.
Yeah, you know, you don't know what your brain's going to do, so I just had to make sure that he knew I caught it. I couldn't see him, so show the ball, and then God, I heard him getting killed on Twitter. You know, I wish we could have come up with that one. We could have been, you know, laughing a little more.
Well, they were certainly laughing about it today in the dugout as Todd Frazier, he's the one that just jerked that camera around, just so you know. There he goes walking away like he didn't do anything. And we caught you, Frazier. It's all right. You know, some news from baseball world. Well, it hit the baseball world hard, and particularly here in St. Louis because they lost one of their own. When we come back, we will talk about the great Yogi Berra as the Reds and Cardinals set to do battle in Game 3 of a 3-game set. Berra passed away, and you are looking at Yogi Berra's childhood home on the hill here in St. Louis, and an impromptu shrine set up today after the news of Yogi Berra's passing. It has certainly hit home here in St. Louis and certainly hit the baseball world as we say goodbye to Yogi, the man known for, well, what was called as Yogiisms. The reasons that his quotes became so famous was because he was such a great player. You look at his bio, 19 seasons, 18 times he was an all-star, played in 10 World Series, on 10 World Series championships, and played in 75 World Series games, three-time MVP. You look at his career RBIs, his home runs, fourth most by a catcher all time, and maybe his greatest accomplishment, he was a World War II veteran. I talked to some of the Reds about the passing of Yogi Berra.
He was definitely somebody that, as a catcher, you kind of look up to, and you see the things that he said and how instrumental he was to the game. And it's a shame, but he was definitely somebody that I know that I'll never forget, as far as things that he was to do to the game of baseball, and leave a lasting impression on a lot of people.
You can't not look up to a guy like that, and it's a sad day for baseball, and not only baseball, especially in New York, because it's big over there, and they got a lot of fans and people that really enjoyed listening to his quirky sayings, and he's a good guy. God rest his soul.
Gone but never forgotten. Yogi Berra was 90 years old.
Transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Get set to play the third and final game of this series. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup, brought to you by Meyer. You see Skip Schumacher will lead things off in this game. Todd Frazier for the first time this year will bat second. Then Votto, Phillips, Bruce, and Suarez in the middle. Brennan Bosch gets a start tonight in center. Barnhart catches, Finnegan pitches against the veteran right-hander Lance Lynn.
Well, not only a veteran right-hander, but a guy who is a proven winner. He makes his 126th start in the major leagues. He's already carved out 60 wins. He's 11-10 this year, and he's been struggling lately, so maybe the Reds are getting him at the right time.
He gets a strike in there to Schumacher, and this, the 151st game of the year for the Reds, is underway. 12 left, counting tonight. Reds see Lynn for the third time this year. He's won one, lost one against Cincinnati. His lifetime 7-4 against the Reds. Mentioned it's been a beautiful 3 days here weather-wise in St. Louis. Today, game time temperature is 80 degrees. I mean, there has been no humidity any of the days that the Reds have been here. Schumacher at 238 with a home run that came against the Cardinals. In fact, it came against Lynn in that game back in Cincinnati on the 12th of this month. Reds won that game. In fact, won 3 of 4 against the Cardinals in that series at Great American. Hit hard to Peralta. Schumacher is out, and that's the way this game gets started. Take a look at the Cardinals' entire defensive setup, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They line up like this. How about Matt Holliday getting his first start since being activated from the DL out in left field tonight. Tommy Pham in center. Grichuk is out in right. Reynolds and Peralta left side. Carpenter, Piscotty right side. Lynn and Cruz are the battery. Carpenter, who's been a third baseman the last couple of years for St. Louis, moves back to the spot that he played all of 2013 over at second base. He played second when David Freese was here playing third, and when Freese was traded, Carpenter became the third baseman. So one out. Here's Todd Frazier. Different look to this Reds lineup tonight, put out there by Brian Price. Boy, that thing is hit hard, but right at Johnny Peralta. 2 out. Frazier batting second for the first time this year. 2 quick outs. Here's Votto. Joey, one of the guys we highlighted during the Open, he and Jay Bruce have done particularly well against Lynn. From Votto's standpoint, 9 of 20, a .450 average, and also 7 walks. 2 times he's been hit by a pitch, so he's been on base a lot when he faces Lynn.
Well, if you can hit a fastball and you're a left-handed hitter, you'll match up well against Lance Lynn. But what he can do, especially when he has good command of his fastball, he'll throw a 2-seamer down and away like he did Votto on the first pitch, and then he'll continually run right up the ladder with 4-seamer after 4-seamer, and he'll get a lot of hitters to chase that and gets a lot of easy outs that way.
Votto gets ahead here 2-1. Seemingly every day we tell you that since the All-Star break, Votto leads the major leagues in average, on base percentage, and walks, but that has actually changed today. 1 for 6 for Votto in this series. He is now second in the big leagues in batting average since the break. Still leads the big leagues in on base percentage and walks since the All-Star break.
So they have the All-Star game for those that have a great first half. What do they have for guys that have a great second half? Like Joey Votto.
I don't know.
I mean, if your team's not in the playoff, there's really no personal accolades you'll get. Of course, you vie for all the postseason awards. I mean, the postseason awards, the MVPs, the Silver Sluggers, and so on.
As usual, you bring up a good point.
And have no answer.
Votto is out. Hold on strikes by Phil Cuzzy. Joey thought he had held up. Phil says no. Reds go in order in the top of the first. For the Reds, and for the 4th time overall since coming over in the Johnny Cueto deal. And I think you have to come away impressed, Chris, with what he did against the Brewers in that first start.
Well, this young man has a real desire to be a starter, and he's already proved that he can be an effective reliever in the major leagues, and that's where he was to begin the season with the Kansas City Royals. When the Reds got him, they had him down in Louisville. They wanted to stretch him out a little bit and try to make him a starter because that's what he wants to do. And, of course, they want to find out whether he can be there or not. His control suffered down there. He didn't really pitch all that well as a starter in Louisville, but he comes out here and he beats the Brewers his last time out, was really in control the entire ball game while he was there. So he's a 3-pitch pitcher, fastball, mostly 2-seam fastballs. He'll throw a slider / slurve, which is a hard breaking ball, and a changeup. And his last time out, he pretty much went 50-50% wise on the off-speed pitches when a call for it.
Well, he has worked against the Cardinals twice, both times in Cincinnati. This is his first, obviously, start against them. He faces Carpenter. Starting the day at 266 with 24 home runs, and he's driven in 77, 3 hits in this series. Carpenter had a double and a single in the game last night. In fact, his run in the 3rd tied the score. His base hit in the 7th inning kept that frame going, allowed Tommy Pham to come up there and get the sacrifice fly, which gave St. Louis the lead. Finnegan, 22 years old, out of Fort Worth, Texas, and TCU. In fact, he followed his dad, who pitched at TCU as well, Gary. Carpenter disposed of on strikes, and a good start for Finnegan. Here's the rest of the Cardinal lineup that will face Finnegan here tonight. After Carpenter, Tommy Pham in the 2 spot, and then Matt Holliday in the middle for the Cardinals. Peralta, Piscotty, and Grichuk out at right field. Jason Hayward getting the night off. Mark Reynolds is at 3rd. Cruz catches, Lynn pitches. Here's Tommy Pham.
Here you mentioned Brandon Finnegan's father, Gary, who also went to TCU. Had a chance to talk to Brandon a little bit about that, and his dad, being a college pitcher, essentially taught him how to pitch. He was the same body type. He said his dad was an excellent hitter.
Short hop pick by Frazier. Fan is the second out.
And Gary is here tonight. In fact, he's the only family member that Brandon has in his stands tonight. His mom and dad were both in Milwaukee to see him pitch against the Milwaukee Brewers and nail down that first win as a Red. They're very excited. And his dad, when I saw him underneath the stadium on the way out of the ballpark, he said, "Don't worry, I'll be back in St. Louis. Not going to miss that."
Of course, big things expected, big things hoped for from Brandon Finnegan, part of the triumvirate that came over from Kansas City in the Johnny Cueto deal. We've seen 2 of them so far. We know a lot about the third one in Cody Reed. And Finnegan getting a taste of National League life here in the latter weeks of this season. Holiday hits that ball hard, but it's run down by Brennan Bosch. And so, like the Reds, the Cardinals go in order in the first. Now, take a look at the pitching is the key part of this Elk and Elk storyline tonight, and really the biggest of the 3 here is that bottom one, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's when you add it all up. I mean, the run differential is the number of runs you give up versus the number of runs you score. And the Cardinals have the best run differential in baseball, and the Reds, of course, are 10th. And if you don't score as many, at least as many as you give up, you're going to end up losing. And it's a pretty good indicator, really, of whether a ball club is deserving of its record. Sometimes a club can have as many runs given up as they score, and they can still have a winning record. But that means that you're finding some good fortune along the way.
Well, both pitchers off to good starts in this game. Lance Lynn to work now against Brandon Phillips, beginning inning number 2. Mike Matheny taking the Cardinals into the postseason for the 4th consecutive year that he has been in charge of this club after taking over for Tony La Russa after they won the 2011 World Series.
Well, they're keeping a lot of close eye on Lance Lynn tonight because he's been part of the playoff run every year he's been in the major leagues. And they want him to be part of this postseason with the Cardinals. But the way he's gone the last few starts, you know, he's not really shown himself to be worthy of being in that postseason rotation. And believe me, they've got some tough decisions to make there.
And the last time out for Lynn, and there you see the numbers for the last 3 starts. 9+ ERA. The last time out, he could not get through the 4th inning against the Cubs in a road loss up at Wrigley.
Well, and he's had problems with left-handed hitters. Now, the Cubs have really owned him anyway along the way, but left-handers have really given him most of the problem here recently. And it looks like his fastball is up to par, and his command isn't too bad either. That ball right on the block.
That's been a rarity, and you talked about it yesterday. A rarity for Phillips striking out. One of the toughest to strike out in the National League. In fact, he's fourth. He only strikes out when he be 9.5 times up. Strikes out to start the second. Now here's Bruce. He highlighted him and the home runs that he has hit on this trip. He only has 7 hits on the trip, but 5 of them have been home runs. 3 of them have been tape measure jobs. 2 in Milwaukee on Sunday, and then the one he hit here last night, which traveled 456 feet, the longest in this ballpark by a left-handed batter. Here comes Matt Holliday, and he gets to the spot. Holliday, as I mentioned, making only his first start since coming off the disabled list. He had missed a boatload of the season this year with that quad injury. In fact, it's reared its ugly head for him twice. He's been on the DL twice. He missed a grand total of 65 games this year. This is the first start he made since the 29th of July when the Reds were in town, and he injured that quad running to first base, turned and went right into the dugout. Hasn't started a game since that time until tonight. Suarez with 2 men out, nobody on.
Well, the Cardinals certainly have had their share of injuries, and Lance Lynn himself has been injured, not to the point where he's missed a lot of time on the disabled list, but he twisted an ankle at the very end of August and has not really been the same ever since. They gave him some extra time between starts in early September. And they speculated for a while that a lot of his control problems and his mechanical problems in his pitching delivery were all due to that sore ankle. But it's been nearly a month, and they figure that he should be over it by now. They keep saying he's 100%. He looks like he's throwing the ball with authority tonight, and with some confidence too. Of course, we've talked about him many times in all the starts he's had against the Reds. How he's a young man from Brownsburg, Indiana, went to Brownsburg High School. Same high school that Tucker Barnhart went.
Yeah.
He's a few years older than Tucker. I would say the TV ratings are rather high in Brownsburg tonight. So welcome.
Locked in for the big matchup.
Let's hope they're watching the varsity telecast.
Oh, certainly they are. Suarez a strikeout victim, 2 of them in the inning, 3 in the game for Lynn, who has faced and retired 6. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Schumacher gets the start in left tonight. Brennan Bosch is out in center field this evening. Bruce is in right. It's Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, and Votto across the infield. Finnegan and Barnhart doing the catching. Bosch making only his second start in center field on this road trip. Second start this road trip, I should say, overall. He started against the Giants in the first game of the trip. And he gets the start in center field here tonight. Peralta leads it off. Suarez will lay back on this ball, but get it in time over to Votto. So no base runners so far in this game. This is the 6th start of the year in center for Brennan Bosch. Here's Stephen Piscotty. Brandon Finnegan talked to him after his start in Milwaukee, and he said, I just take every outing. I don't look at the whole picture, one inning at a time, just one batter at a time. Just don't think about what I'm trying to do overall. Go at them one at a time.
That's the way to do it. And if you can maintain that focus, you'll find out that it's a lot easier to get through your effort.
5'11", 185-pounder. He gets ahead of Piscotty, 2 strikes. You mentioned it in Milwaukee, and it's kind of an amazing stat that he has worn the uniform of 5 different teams this year, including the Royals in the big leagues. There's that pitch you talked about a lot in Milwaukee, the off-speed delivery.
Well, that's a slider right there. You know, when he was in Milwaukee, he threw, I think, 9 sliders and 7 changeups, along with his 56 fastballs. And he made them all good. I mean, that's not a waste pitch right there. When it comes out of his hand, it has the strike zone at least as far as being over the plate. It drops down out of the strike zone there. Grichuk, good fastball hitter, and you go to his weakness with that breaking ball.
So Finnegan has matched Lance Lynn so far. He's retired the first 5, and now he deals with Randall Grichuk, who's playing right field tonight.
And there's the changeup.
Grichuk with 16 home runs and a .279 average. Has made 1 start in this series, and that was in the first game of the 3-game get-together on Monday. He gets a hold of this ball high and deep to left field. Schumacher runs out of room. That's number 17. Cardinals take a 1-0 lead.
Kind of an interesting pitch sequence. See, you see them trying to get that ball up to Grichuk. I don't think that's the right place to pitch him. If you watch him in the batter's box, he lays his bat flat, and he's already got it really on the plane of that high fastball. An usual kind of pitch sequence, too, when the first pitch was a changeup, and then you throw the fastball. But Grichuk hits a mistake pitch that came right back over the middle, and the Cardinals now have something going already.
The Reds had taken the early lead in both last night's game and Monday's game, 1-0 early, but now the Cardinals get a run on the board here in the bottom of the 2nd. Big swinging Mark Reynolds up there now. Looking back at that start on Friday in Milwaukee, Finnegan gave up a solo home run to Chris Davis in the 2nd inning of that game. Gives up a solo home run here to Randall Grichuk.
Well, the one thing the Cardinals can do to you, and especially now with an expanded roster, is that they can load up their lineup with a bunch of left-handers if they want, or a bunch of right-handers if they want. And tonight, the only left-hander they have in that lineup is their leadoff hitter, Matt Carpenter, and quite frankly, against him, it doesn't matter.
That's strike 3 call. Reynolds disagrees, but Phil Cuzzy rings him up. But the home run by Grichuk has given the Cardinals a second inning lead. $12. You can see the Reds take on the New York Mets and enjoy a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Adams Recovery Center. Get your tickets by calling 513-381-RED. You can also visit select Kroger locations or go to reds.com/tickets. That'll be the second game of the weekend 4-game series against that first place New York Mets team, which is closing in on the National League East Division title. Magic number going into today of 6.
Now that is Randall Grichuk out there in right field. Of course, he's the one hit the home run to make it a 1-0 ball game. But he's also the one Cardinal who the Reds may keep an eye on if they hit the ball out to him. If you're going to run on anybody in that outfield, it would be Grichuk. That sleeve you see on his right arm is to somewhat remind and maybe protect that right elbow of his that is sparking a little bit. I guess it doesn't hurt him when he swings.
It looked like it hurt when he swung there in the second.
It only hurts the pitcher's arms when he swings, not his own.
You mentioned the other day that he's a little bit older breaking in at 27, but boy, he's had a very fine year. He stepped in and did the job when they needed it. Bosch leading off here in the Reds' third.
You know, you mentioned Bosch getting his 6th start of the year as a center fielder. That was one of the things that intrigued the Reds about Brennan Bosch, is his ability to play all 3 outfield positions and play them pretty well.
Solid contact there by Bosch, and up the middle it goes, and a base hit.
It's one reason why Brennan made the ball club out of spring training as really the only backup center fielder to Billy Hamilton.
Well, he did not get off to a very good start. Ultimately was sent down to Louisville, where he actually played very well in terms of average and power.
You know what happens, though, a lot of times in spring training? A guy like Bosch, you know, he really gets hot. He's hitting the ball well in the month of March. He's playing every day, even if he is towards the end of the season in spring training. Being a backup, he's still going to come in around the 6th inning and get a few ABs. Well, then you come up to the big league schedule and you sit for a week or 10 days. And whatever groove you had, you lose. And that's, of course, that didn't only happen to Brennan Bosch. It happened to just about every bench player on every team.
Well, here's that Brownsburg, Indiana matchup we've been waiting for. Lance Lynn against Tucker Barnhart. Double play ball.
Well, they're dancing in Brownsburg, but it's on the Lynn side of the street.
Cardinals had the benefit of 3 double plays last night behind John Lackey and company. They get their first tonight. 2 men out. Here's Brandon Finnegan. First big league at bats for him came in that game on Friday at Milwaukee. He was 0 for 1. He grounded out, then did have a sacrifice bunt his second time up. Reds home tomorrow night against the Mets. They're going to throw some big name pitchers at the Redlegs, that's for sure. They're going to throw out Steven Matz, who made his big league debut back in June against Cincinnati. Noah Syndergaard, Matt Harvey, the much discussed and talked about Matt Harvey as of late. Jacob deGrom, last year's Rookie of the Year, so not an easy pitcher in the bunch right there. Peralta throws out Finnegan. 3 batters and out thanks to the double play, and we're in the middle of the third of a 1-0 game.
And we talked about baseball morning, the loss of Yogi Berra, who passed away at the age of 90. Known as a great player, obviously, but also for his Yogiisms. In fact, let's take a look at a telegram sent in 1980 to Johnny Bench after Bench broke Yogi Berra's all-time catcher's home run record. And there's a Yogiism right in there. It says, "Congratulations on breaking my home run record last night. I always thought that the record would stand until it was broken. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Best of luck," as he goes on to say, and he signs it Yogi. Now, for you youngsters out there, before email and text, when you wanted to send a written words, the quickest way it was via telegram. But the Yogiisms, boys, you could go on all day about those. What a great man he was.
Well, I always thought it would stand until it was broken. It's a classic, isn't it?
You know, that sounds just like Yogi Berra.
His best two probably are "It's Deja Vu All Over Again."
That's one that's certainly maybe the most recognized and most used.
And "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." Here's some other ones that you used to hear Yogi using a lot. "When you come to a fork in the road, Chris, take it." That's a good one right there.
Well, you know, you can't help but think of Yogi every time you hear one of those. And people say those things. It ain't over till it's over.
And that's why you'll think of Yogi Berra for a long, long time.
You know, he has co-authored 7 books during his lifetime. The last one, the title of the last one is "I Really Didn't Say Everything I Said." Yogi Berra, 90 years old, passed away late last night. He appeared in more, Jim talked about it, more World Series games than any player in baseball history. 75 of them. Here's his bio: 3-time MVP, 18-time All-Star. And from the St. Louis area. He and Joe Garagiola grew up as friends on the Hill area in St. Louis, known back then and still today for some incredible Italian restaurants. This is his boyhood home on the Hill this morning. A bit of a shrine has been put up there by folks who admired Yogi, and to pay their respects to Yogi. Grew up in St. Louis, but his entire career, or most of his career, as a Yankee.
You just think about Yogi Berra, though, for a minute. I mean, he was 5 feet 7 inches tall, and he hit 358 home runs. I mean, nowadays, you'd have a hard time getting into a D1 college at 5 feet 7 inches tall. And it was just remarkable. What a remarkable man.
I mean, Tucker Barnhart, when you look at Tucker Barnhart, you think he's a small guy. He's 5'11".
Yeah.
Yogi 4 inches shorter than that. Brandon Finnegan, he's 5'11". He looks a little bit on the short side.
That's because everybody who's playing now is 6'6".
3-2 walk issued to Cruz to start the Cardinal third.
Boy, that's a bad thing to do, to start the inning with a leadoff walk, but it's even worse when you have the pitcher batting second, because now you give something for Lance Lynn to actually do up there other than swing the bat and most likely make an out. Although Lynn, in his time as a high schooler, was some kind of hitter. He led his team to the Indiana State Championship a couple of times. When he was in high school as a junior, he hit over 500 with 14 home runs. But he's punting here.
You've got Lynn at 28. You've got Barnhart behind the plate at 24, as we've talked about both of them from Brownsburg, Indiana.
You think they're talking about Brownsburg there in the batter's box right now? I mean, Brownsburg's a small, it's a town, not a city. I think the last census showed it to be somewhere around 20 to 22,000 people.
Maybe Lynn is saying to Barnhart, maybe they have a great diner in town. He's waiting to get back there after the season's over. Can't wait to go back to Shirley's or whatever it might be.
Well, I'm sure there are some great ones there, because it was in 2009 that I think it was U.S. News or USA Today ranked Brownsburg as the #1 place to live in the state of Indiana.
Wow. Thought it might be high. The strike call sends Lynn back to the dugout for the first out of the inning.
You know, I really think that part of that Lynn took that pitch was because Frazier was charging so hard that he distracted Lance Lynn a little bit. And you don't want to bunt into a trap, and I think that's maybe one reason why he pulled that bat back right there. Let's take another look at Frazier coming hard. I mean, look how close he is right here. And, you know, Lynn's been around. He's a pretty good hitter, and he realizes, well, if I bunt the ball down right there, I have a chance of maybe a double play ball.
Now a ground ball could get the Reds a double play, get them through the inning. Carpenter, oh, he launches this ball to right. Bruce going back. Will Jay have room? He will not. And Carpenter continues to add his career best home run total. That is number 25. 3-0 St. Louis. 1
Carpenter is the only left-hander in the lineup tonight for the Cardinals, and he gets a first pitch get-ahead breaking ball right there. Down goes ahead of Finnegan. He knows that ball's not coming back. And, you know, Carpenter's an interesting guy because in his first at-bat against Finnegan, you know, he saw as many pitches as he possibly could before he finally struck out. And then he comes up swinging at the first pitch out of the gate, his second time up with a man on base.
You look at his career numbers, he's always done well in the minor leagues and at Kansas City last year against lefties. In the big leagues this year, while with the Reds, he hadn't given up a hit against a left-hander until that one by Carpenter.
Well, you can see the breaking ball that he has. When he stays on top of it with his fingers, he drives it down, and it's got great depth. That one that he threw to Carpenter was kind of on the side. And maybe he didn't want to bury it because it's a first pitch and you're really more or less trying to throw a strike with it. But it just kind of rolled up there for him. And, you know, any breaking ball worth throwing is a breaking ball worth finishing when you're getting out there over your front leg.
Hit hard to center, and Boz is going to cut it off. Pham makes that big turn and will retreat to first base. Cardinals squaring up some pitches here in this inning from the lefty Brandon Finnegan.
Well, it's time to start changing speeds when that happens. And, you know, if you're facing a lineup of right-handers, that's where that changeup has to become an important pitch for you.
Pretty good lead over there by Pham, held by Votto. Got him leaning. Back in time is Pham. Cardinals are not a team that has used the stolen base this year to generate offense. They are near the bottom of the National League in steals. You see Pham leaning just a little bit. He's really pushing the lead over there.
Well, he is, and it's almost like now he has a one-way lead where he takes a huge lead off first base, and the first move by Finnegan, he goes back to the bag because they're trying to get as much information about Finnegan's move. Every one of these is being videotaped. Everyone is being watched closely. And a lot of that has sometimes an effect on the hitter. A lot of hitters don't like it when pitchers stand out there, and one way that you try to disrupt the timing of the runner is you hold the ball varying amounts of time, and you hold it a long time. Well, hitters get antsy in the box. They don't know whether to call timeout or not.
Holiday, we saw him pinch hit in the game on Monday and strike out.
He looked rusty in that at bat. It was against Manny Parra, who just blew him away. He's hit the ball hard on the button on the first pitch he saw last time up.
Well, they've documented the fact that this has been a injury-plagued season for him, although when you look up and down his career numbers, he has been a solid guy in terms of games played. He doesn't miss many year in, year out. In fact, the lowest number of games he has played in his career prior to this year was 121 in his rookie year with the Rockies back in 2004. This year, he has played coming into tonight in only 66 due to the right quad strains that he has suffered. 2 of them has sent him to the DL this year.
Well, he's been named to the All-Star team 7 times in his career, including this year. Won a batting title.
It's this ball hard to the alley in right center field, carrying to the wall, off the wall on the fly. Jose Oquendo sending Pham to the plate. Here comes the throw. It's not in time. Then a 3-run inning for St. Louis.
Now this pitch up and out over the zone, and you are just feeding right into the strength of Matt Holliday when you get it up and out like that. And it's maybe time for young Brandon Finnegan to regroup a little bit out there. Because not only are they scoring runs, and they've scored 3 in this inning, but they are hitting the ball very sharply on just about every one of his different pitches.
First hit for Holliday since the 26th of July in this ballpark against Atlanta. We talked about the fact that he left that game on July the 29th with the strained quad against the Reds. Wasn't activated from the disabled list until the 15th, 8 days ago this month. Had been 0 for 2 in 2 pinch hit appearances with 2 strikeouts, but hit the ball hard twice tonight, including that double. Colin Ballister now starts to throw in the Reds bullpen.
Yeah, right now Brandon is working around the outside of that slider. You can see it go down a little bit, but there's not a real sharp break going on. Of course, that's a get-ahead slider right there. You know, Peralta's a guy, and I made this comment the other night, and maybe it's worth sharing again, is that if you just scout, forget that you have a computer full of data and metrics that you can look at. But if you just look by body type and how a guy holds himself in the batter's box, Peralta's telling me that he wants the ball down and out over the plate, holds his hands very high, and he's just waiting to drop that bat head. That last pitch was up, and he couldn't get around on it. You get it down there, although that was a pretty good looking changeup, and that's the spot for him. This is not a bad idea to maybe back that changeup up with another one a little bit lower.
Got him looking. 5th strikeout for Finnegan. 2nd out of the inning.
But came back right with a fastball after a 90 or after an 84-mile-an-hour changeup, a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, a little comeback action on it.
It didn't appear as if it was what Peralta thought was going to be thrown there, did it?
It sure didn't. And the hitters will deny until their last day that they are not guessing up there. We all know better than that.
Piscotty struck out his first time. Reds are going to have to mount some offense tonight if they're to win this game. They are down 4-0 here in the 3rd. Phillips corrals it, makes the play. Piscotty is out, and the inning is over. But the Cardinals add 3 and now lead 4-0.
I'm Jim Day. Of course, the former Cardinal won a World Series championship here in St. Louis. And when he's introduced, always gets a warm introduction. I asked him about it.
A special moment every single time they do that, and I really don't know why they do that. You know, kind of as a utility player, so I don't know what I did that was so special, but just very lucky to have that happen.
Well, guys, we found out over the last couple of years why. It's because he's such a good clubhouse guy, a solid player, and is outstanding in the community. Did the same things in St. Louis that he's doing right now in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Jim. Well, he may have been a utility player for the most part during that 11 championship, but he had some years, 08, 09, 10, where he was the everyday second baseman for this Cardinal club after switching from the outfield, his natural position where he had always played. All of a sudden they switched him to the infield.
Well, he hit 300 2 years in a row, and he was a full-time player back in then. In 2008, 2009, his on-base percentage for the Cardinals was always up around, 360. And the type of player to be the first one on the field to get his uniform dirty. And just like in Cincinnati, they like that type of player here in St. Louis.
I would bet that if he continues to play next year but doesn't play in Cincinnati, comes back to Great American Ballpark as a visiting player, he'd get a nice round of applause there too, wouldn't you think?
Oh, of course he would. I think the Reds fans appreciate good baseball, and they appreciate good baseball players. I don't think that he has resonated the same in Cincinnati as he has in St. Louis, simply because he didn't play very much here in Cincinnati. He was injured a lot last year with a broken shoulder, essentially a separated shoulder that he sustained in spring training. And as a part-time player, he's never really gotten into the same groove that he did here in St. Louis.
But you're right. They appreciate, talking about the fans of Cincinnati,
very much.
Good, hard-nosed baseball player, and that's exactly what Schumacher is. Here's Frazier. I said earlier he had making his first start of the year in the number 2 spot in the batting order. That is not true. Tonight is the 4th time that he has been in the number 2 spot. One of
Not
the
bad
11.
not bad numbers overall there for Todd Frazier. 260 batting average. I mean, he slumped a little bit in the second half, obviously. I mean, he was hoping at the beginning of the year that 35 would be a number for home runs with him. But against Lynn, it hasn't been that pretty. A 161 batting average, 15 punch outs. Although he hit the ball right on the button the first time he was up.
It's this one into shallow left center. Can anybody get it? They cannot. 3 of them come together. Nobody can make the catch. The closest was the shortstop Peralta. Pham wasn't going to get there. Holiday wasn't going to get there. Into the Bermuda Triangle it falls and a hit.
Well, Todd will take it, but this was a play that really, I'm surprised that it fell for a base hit. I mean, Tommy Pham got a terrible jump in center field. Peralta maybe been the closest to it, but Pham just waited seemingly forever before he got on the move on that ball. This is the one Achilles heel for the St. Louis Cardinals that people really don't want to talk about very much, and it is lack of good defense. Their best defender by far in this ball club is not playing tonight, Jason Hayward, the right fielder. When your best defender is a right fielder, that doesn't say much about the rest of your defense. I mean, you got guys on the Reds now that if they don't win Gold Gloves on a yearly basis, they should at least be in the conversation. The guy standing at first base who just had that base hit, and Todd Frazier, one of them. Now, he may not win one because you've got Nolan Arenado over there in Colorado, who that kid can just play.
Yeah, he's won 2 in a row now.
And once you get the reputation, it really begins to kind of further itself. But Frazier's deserving.
No, we thought
Phillips is deserving.
We thought last year Zach Cozart was very deserving.
Absolutely, he was extremely deserving. Every time he takes the field, you know he's going to make every play. Cozart. I think Billy Hamilton, the way he played center field,
I agree,
should be in the conversation.
Votto is a former Gold Glove winner. Joey struck out his first time, trying to extend that on base streak to 40. Reached base in 39 consecutive games. His career best is 41 back in 2010. Phillips on deck. Reds have scored a grand total of just 2 runs in this series. The home run last night in the first inning by Bruce. And the first inning run on a base hit by Phillips that scored Bourgeois on Monday. So it's been slim pickings offensively for Brian Price's club here in St. Louis on this trip.
And you would think, really, if you just size up this ball club from as an outsider, you would say, well, their lineup looks really good. Their pitching staff needs help, but their lineup is set. And that wouldn't be the case where you would think that they needed some improving.
Off the glove of Carpenter. Can he get a handle on it to get the force out at second? He cannot. That thing was like a spinning top out there. He just couldn't grab it. Looked like they're going to have an easy play at second despite the fact he didn't catch the ball. He just couldn't grab that thing.
I think he's in pain out there. Votto hits this ball extremely hard. And I think it hit on the heel of the glove. I think it may have been knuckling or at least sinking like a humpback line drive. Yeah, but hit him on the wrist is what it did. That ball was hit so hard and moving so much that he thought he'd get it in his glove. He didn't do it. He's still checking his wrist.
That goes down as a hit for Votto. So extend the on-base streak to 40 straight games. Longest of this year for Joey. And 1 away from tying his career high. Longest in the National League this year, Matt Holliday's 45. That was in the first 45 games of the season. Phillips trying now to cut into this 4-0 deficit. So just doing a little research very quickly. Votto was at 40 straight games in reaching base. Joe Mauer of Minnesota, the longest current active streak in the big leagues. He's at 41 going into tonight. Twins playing at home against Cleveland. Phillips got tied up inside and strikes out for the second time. How about our IGS bringing the energy feature for tonight's game? Talking about Jay Bruce, most 25 home run seasons in Reds history. Jay this year number 5 for him. Frank Robinson, the Hall of Famer, with 9. Bench, the Hall of Famer, with 8. Dunn 7. Hall of Famer Tony Perez 6. Bruce now with 5 of them. Supplied all the offense for the Reds last night with his first inning. Prodigious blast, 456 feet. Second deck out in right field. Again, the longest by a left-handed batter in this ballpark's history. Opened in '06. Sitting at 25 home runs, 83 runs batted in. The second half of the year has been good for Jay, really, in terms of home runs and RBIs, but it has not been good for him in terms of average. Flied out to left his first time in this game. Take a look at what Jay did in the first half of the year from a power standpoint. He had 13 home runs, 42 runs batted in 84 games, hit .251. Second half, he's hit only .206 going into this game, but has a dozen home runs and 41 runs batted in almost 25 games less. And I guess really the biggest differential for Jay first half, second half, is on base percentage in the first half, .341. Very, very good. Second half, .251. Back-to-back hits in this inning have given the Reds a chance. One by Frazier, one by Votto.
They're going to talk it over right here. They got ahead of Jay Bruce by pitching him inside. Then the last couple of pitches have gone outside. And Tony Cruz full knows that Jay Bruce is very capable of making this a one-run ball game with a mistake pitch over the center of the plate. And a rare breaking ball. I used to have a catcher that would come out here and say, all right, what do you want to throw to him right here? I said, I think I want to throw a fastball. Okay. And he'd run back there behind the plate and he'd put down the curveball sign. I shake it off. And he'd demand curveball. I'm thinking to myself, what do we just have a conversation about? And I'd ask him later because I was just trying to see what you were thinking, but you're going to throw what I want.
Jay pops it up. Is it playable for Reynolds near the dugout or Cruz? And it is out of play, so Jay still has life. He just wanted to make you mad.
Yeah, or break the tension a little bit. That ball is down there in the owner's box. That's normally where Mr. and Mrs. Castellini sit when they make it to town to follow the Reds. I don't know if there are any Reds people down there tonight or not. Take a quick look. Jim Day can fill us in on that.
Those are the people that Jim hangs out with after the game, I think, down there, aren't they? Some of those highfalutin folk. Handled by Piscotty. Bruce is out. Reds lead 2 here in the 4th. particular on Saturday for as low as $12. You can arrive early, be one of the first 25,000 fans. You'll receive a commemorative All-Star Game figurine presented by your Tri-State Chevy dealers. You get tickets by calling 513-381-REDS, by visiting select Kroger locations, or by going online to reds.com/tickets. Chance slipped by the wayside for the Reds in the fourth. 2 on with 1 out. Phillips struck out. Bruce grounded out. Now Brandon Finnegan will try to keep it 4-0 as he works here in the home 4th inning. He gets Randall Grichuk to lead it off. First pitch swinging. The man who homered his first time flies out to right this time. 1 pitch, 1 out. Mark Reynolds will walk to the plate. He's been around a long time. Mark Reynolds played on a lot of different clubs. Came up with the Diamondbacks. He was actually a third baseman. He's played mostly first base here with the Cardinals. He actually came up as a third baseman. Has, because of the injury situation on this Cardinal club this year, had over 400 plate appearances. I'm sure that's not what they thought of when they signed him in the offseason, that he would play that much. Hard into right field and a base hit.
You know, the one thing that they were wondering about with Mark Reynolds, was he a Cardinal type player? And some of the insiders at the Cardinals have told me that they took it to great lengths in spring training to try to explain to him what they're trying to do here in St. Louis, and how whatever he may have done elsewhere will fit here only if you become part of the program, which, you know, never had a reputation for being a guy who would be the first one to the ballpark, for instance, and really grinding it out. But he has completely adopted the philosophy, and he's helped them quite a bit, and he's getting a lot more playing time, as you said, than he ever thought he would.
See if the Reds can get a couple. There's one. Look at that tear by Phillips at second base. That's as quick as we've seen him turn one out at second base all year. Nicely done at 6-4-3. Puts an end to the bottom of the fourth. Continues to be your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October the 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Cardinals will be in. Other teams that are getting close Kansas City has a magic number to win the American League Central going into the day of 3. Toronto and New York in the American League East, they still have a tight race going on. 2.5 games separate them going into action today. The Mets, who the Reds will see over the weekend, have a 6.5 game lead going into action today over the Nationals, with an elimination number there of 6. Dodgers have lost 4 in a row. Giants have won 2 in a row. It appears to be delaying the inevitable down there, but you never know. 6 game lead by the Dodgers over the Giants going into action today, and a magic number of 7 to win the West. Well, that Minnesota team is interesting. They're trying to catch the Astros for the second wild card team, and going into play today, they were only behind them by 1 game in the loss column. Reynolds will make this play. 4 out, number 1. Wouldn't that be something if Houston leads the division all year, thinking they're going to be in the postseason, and all of a sudden they get knocked out at the end?
Well, the Angels are knocking on the door too.
Yeah, they sure are. Time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo our way. Use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan. Hope to see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Send them on in. Hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan for our fan photo of the game. Bosch, a solid single into center, his first time. This one right back to Lynn, and the big man will make the play. He's got 6 ground ball outs tonight. He's nothing in terms of ground balls like we've seen from John Lackey and from Jaime Garcia, but he's done a pretty good job of that. Here's round 2 now, the Brownsburg, Indiana square off. Barnhart hit into a double play his first time, 6-4-3. Allister was up earlier. Up again now for the Reds in the bullpen. Another ground ball by Lynn. This one the Carpenter, who will throw out Barnhart, and that's the 3rd perfect inning of the night by Lance Lynn. to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer. Find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. Great overhead look at Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium 3, technically, in downtown St. Louis. Cardinal Village is right beyond the left center field wall. Here is where the old ballpark, Busch Stadium 2, was located. That was the one we were talking about, kind of in the cookie cutter mold that had all the arches around the top. Right behind that Cardinal Nation sign, back behind all that is a spectacular Cardinal Village. Restaurants, bars. Cardinal Hall of Fame is back there now.
And all of it, the difference really is because here it's all part of Cardinals Nation, part of the stadium here, whereas the Reds have the same amenities.
Right.
But they're the banks and they're not owned by the Reds. And of course, none of that revenue goes into the pockets of the Reds in Cincinnati, although it does here in St. Louis. You get 40,000 plus a game who want to hang around for a little something to eat after the ball game.
Lance Lynn strokes it out to left. Schumacher makes a dive for it, but cannot come up with it. Lance Lynn gets his 8th hit of the year. Leads things off in the 5th.
We mentioned earlier how Lynn, when he was in high school, was some kind of a terrific hitter. In fact, he was as good a hitter in high school as he was a pitcher. His high school team went 33-0, and part to him hitting .500 and blasting 14 home runs.
He's big enough to hit the ball out of the park.
Well, what do you think? Do you think they said that about Yogi Berra?
At 5'7"? No, I wouldn't think they said that. Carpenter, 2-run homers last time. He's done a good job for them out of the leadoff spot in terms of home runs. I mentioned the fact that the home run was his 25th, a career high. It was the 19th home run he's hit this year from the leadoff spot, closing in on an all-time Cardinal record of 21, set back in the World Series title year of '67 by Hall of Famer Lou Brock. How about that stat? 47-7 this year when Carpenter has at least 1 RBI in a game. And all of it without batting gloves. I bet when you shake Carpenter's hand, it's a little bit on the rough side, wouldn't you think?
I bet you get pine tar all over your hand, too.
Here's that home run he hit back in the 3rd. Just gave it an effort, but it was not near where he could have made the catch. You might cut your hand when you shake his hand. Another blast out to right center field by Carpenter. He's got himself 2 of them tonight.
Carpenter's hot spot.
Second time this year that Carpenter's had a multi-home run game. He gives the Cardinals now a 6-0 lead. He did it back on the 30th of July against Colorado. And he does it here on the 23rd of September against the Reds. A pair of 2-run homers by Carpenter tonight.
And given the fact that Mike Matheny loaded up his lineup with right-handed hitters, you would have probably picked 6 other players to hit 2 home runs in this ballgame tonight against Finnegan before you picked Carpenter. Guy's a good player. Really good player.
You've told this story before about how Torrey Hunter took him under his wing when he was a high school player. Gave him the access to some of the best training facilities, some of the best trainers, coaches. All worked out very well for Matt Carpenter. Pham, a strikeout victim here. That's the first out of the bottom of the 5th.
And really the ironic thing for Brandon Finnegan is that both he and Matt Carpenter went to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. So they're both guys who are from TCU. And I'm sure they get together on Alumni Day and everything, and it will be next winter that Matt Carpenter will have some bragging rights.
Here's Matt Holliday. There's 75 pitches in that start against the Brewers last Friday, when they allowed 1 run, 3 hits, and 5 innings worth of work. 66 now. 1 out in the 5th. So from a pitch perspective, he's about where he was last week, but not from a runs and hits perspective. When the Cardinals play here at home, not only do they pack them in, they make these folks happy. They have the best home record in the big leagues. I mean, tonight 52-24, best home record in Major League Baseball. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. 3-0 out of 3-2. Reds have Finnegan spot leading off in the 6th inning. They still have Ballister throwing in the bullpen. Strike 3 call. And Holliday disagrees with Phil Cuzzy. Back to the dugout he goes. Back-to-back strikeouts by Finnegan, and now 7 of them in the game.
Well, our box tracks has it as well within the strike zone, and I'm not sure if it is because every pitch in that at bat for Holliday was down low until that last one. You gotta like that about Brandon Finnegan, though. I mean, he's gone out here, and I mean, he's gotten. I mean, you give up 6 runs. 3 home runs. I mean, that's not a good outing, no matter how you slice it up. But he comes right up after he gives up that home run to Carpenter and strikes out the next 2 batters.
Frazier throws out Peralta. Bottom of the 5th comes to an end, but the Cardinals add 2 more. The second home run of the night by Matt Carpenter. Sheltrown and Mo Egger from 700 WLW at the Holy Grail. Chance for you to answer Reds trivia, win prizes, and be part of Reds Live. All the fun gets started on Friday night at 6 at the Holy Grail. Great place to hang out before, after Reds baseball, right across from the Reds Hall of Fame. Jason Bourgeois will pinch hit now for Brandon Finnegan. So the young left-hander's night is finished. He goes 5 in this one. Allows 7 hits, 6 runs, all earned. Walked 1, struck out 7. Bourgeois has been playing a bulk of the center field, but not starting tonight. Will pinch hit. Bourgeois on the year at 248. He's done a good job off the bench. 6 out of 18. Cardinals, by the way, have made some defensive changes here in the top of the 6th inning. Matt Holliday has left the game. Stephen Piscotty moves from first base out to left field. Greg Garcia has moved to second base. Matt Carpenter moves from second over to third. Mark Reynolds is at first base. He had been at third, and Carpenter there at third. Garcia bats at Holliday's spot, which is the number 3 spot. Bourgeois battling here.
Lance Lynn is a guy that if you look at his career record, and he comes into this ball game with 60 wins and 125 starts. He's pitched some really good baseball, but he's also been the beneficiary of a lot of runs scored on his behalf, especially his first 3 full major league seasons. Years in which he won 18 games and then 15 years on back-to-back years, including last year. But the run support average for Lance Lynn has always been near the very best in baseball. His first year as a starter, they scored nearly 7 runs a game when he took them out. Look out. Wow. I guess the Cardinals pitchers must practice that, because John Lackey picked one off last night. It was not like it was nothing. And Lance Lynn doesn't even want to throw the ball around the infield. He says, I'm ready.
We saw 2 of them last night to Lackey. And now this one tonight against Lynn.
So that run support average is really a lot of times an indicator whether the starting pitcher is going to get the win or not, especially nowadays when managers take pitchers out after 6 innings. But this year, the worst run support in the league, well, the 3rd worst belongs to Lance Lynn. So you can see that's the main reason why he's looking at an 11-10 record this year, even though his earned run average is a 3.2, instead of being on line to win another 15 games like they expect him to do here in St. Louis. Well, it's funny how the more you're able to look at the numbers inside of baseball, the more you realize that maybe some of the ways you judged players in the past really have no bearing on what's going on. and especially as the game changes. Now, wins and losses were important when pitchers went out and they completed 20 games a year. They're always pitching into the 8th or the 9th inning. There were no such thing as middle relievers. But nowadays, I mean, if a manager can get 5 or 6 innings out of a starter and he has a good bullpen, time for him to take a shower and bring the other guys in. And that's where wins and losses that's where the wins really go by the wayside. You leave with a 1-run lead, your bullpen blows the lead, even though your team may come back to win, you're off the hook for the W.
6 or 7 is the new 9.
Bob Gibson, of course, he usually completed what he started.
Probably refused to come out of the games. Diving play by Reynolds and a nice feed to Lance Lynn. Nicely done by Reynolds and Lynn to complete the 3-1 putout.
Well, Reynolds is a third baseman by trade, so he can play a little bit of defense down there, and he makes a nice play right here. The question mark is, you going to lead your pitcher right? And he does the right thing, which is get the ball to the pitcher as soon as you possibly can. Don't wait till he's over the bag. That way Lynn can catch the ball and then concentrate on watching his feet hit the first base bag.
Frazier will bat with 2 men out. You talk about Bob Gibson, and whenever I hear Bob Gibson's name, think about Bob Gibson, I always think about the Tim McCarver story that he tells, that in '64 McCarver was a rookie and Gibson was having a tough time on the mound, and McCarver started to jog out to the mound, and Gibson put his hand up and said, "Stop right there, don't come any further. The only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it. Get back behind the plate."
And he probably did.
The story, as McCarver tells it, he just simply turned around and went right back behind the plate. They won 64 and 67, lost in 68, won in 82, lost in 85, lost that 04 World Series to Boston, ended that long Red Sox drought. They won World Series titles in 06 against Detroit. And of course, that classic in 11 against Texas, when they were literally down to their last pitch a couple of times. Who we have not seen in this series is former Red Matt Belisle. Even though he is active, he's missed a good deal of time this year. He's had some right elbow issues, a long time Red, and then a long time Rocky. Frazier pops it up. Be handled by Johnny Peralta. For the 4th time in 6 innings, the Reds go in order. Lance Lynn having a pretty good job here tonight. Ballpark this coming Sunday, the wrap-up of the Reds-Mets series. Lucky fans in attendance will win prizes throughout the game, and the first 20,000 fans will receive a 2015 Reds team photo thanks to Snickers and Kroger. For tickets, 513-381-REDS. Go to select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. Postcard entries accepted. That's coming up on Sunday, Fan Appreciation Day at Great American Ballpark. New pitcher is Colin Ballister, takes over for Brandon Finnegan. Piscotty started at first, moved to left. He's 0 for 2 in this game, 2 for 9 in the series, with 1 run batted in, and that 1 RBI he picked up was a big one in the 8th inning on Monday night. His double plated Peralta, actually plated the pinch runner Peter Borges at the time, giving the Cardinals a 2-1 lead. They went on to win by that score. The ideal situation when you come out of the bullpen. The first batter you face, you walk.
Well, you got to figure that Ballister's probably warmed up by now. After all, he began throwing back in the 3rd inning. That's when the Cardinals scored 3 runs, primarily on the home run by Matt Carpenter, but they also had a rally going after that home run. He's just missing with every different pitch he's got. And Barnhart just trying to slow him down a little bit. You can, I mean, I'm sure he's pumped up.
Ballister relieves Finnegan, who went 5 for the 2nd start in a row, but as we talked about, his numbers vastly different in this one than they were in Milwaukee. Finnegan gives up 6 runs, 7 hits in those 5 innings. Walked 1, struck out 7. On the hook for the loss here tonight if the Reds fail to come back. That's a foul ball. Grichuk says, "Are you kidding me?" Phil Cuzzy said it's a foul ball. Mike Matheny will come out of the dugout. Hard to tell from replay, but Matheny will talk about it with Phil Cuzzy.
Well, remember, the hands are not part of the bat. So if the ball hits the hands, it is a hit by pitch. And the way you remember that is, have you ever been in a sporting goods store and seen the bat of racks, or the rack of bats there? Do they have any hands attached to them?
Negative.
Well, then that's how you remember that the hands are not part of the bat.
Remember, this is a situation that can be challenged. In fact, the Cardinals are going to do that. Is the batter hit or is he not hit? Mike Matheny went out and talked with Phil Cuzzy about it. Their video man in the clubhouse says, yeah, we think we have something that is worth looking at. So the Cardinals will challenge the fact that Grichuk was hit by the pitch. So Phil Cuzzy, who made the call, and the crew chief Jerry Davis from third will go over and look at it. Replay we saw, it did not look like you could really tell anything. Maybe we can hear it. I don't know, what do you think?
Hard to tell. I can tell you my ears aren't that good.
Remember, they need overwhelming evidence to overturn it.
Well, they just need a shot, a frame of the ball hitting the bat or hitting the hand.
Whether they can get that or not is another story. Brian Price waits. Mike Matheny waits.
We'll try to slow it down to the best of our ability. Didn't look like it hit the knob.
You couldn't tell if it hit the lower part of the handle.
I could not tell if it hit that.
Whatever it did, it went right into the glove of Barnhart.
Inconclusive, my guess.
I would agree with you.
I'm sure MLB is going to tighten up this process in some way or another, because what it always seems to be is that when we wait a long time for a decision, the call usually stands because there's not enough video evidence. We're going to find out what it is.
Foul ball.
And it's a foul ball.
All in the field stands, so Mike Matheny has lost his challenge.
So really what they have to tell, and Phil Cuzzi has to tell Randall Grichuk, is your fingers are really not hurting right now. If indeed it did hit his hand. There's the crew chief, Jerry Davis. Been around a long time. You know, if you watch the way Randall Grichuk holds the bat, I made the point about Johnny Peralta, the way he holds his hands really high. Well, Grichuk's kind of the opposite. He holds the bat very flat. And he's telling me that he's got that bat nearly on a plane already of being able to hit the high pitch. And just watching him in batting practice, it seems to me that he likes the ball up more than he likes the ball down. The ball they hit for a home run was up.
Well, Grichuk gets first base anyway. Back-to-back walks by Ballister.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how much patience a manager is going to have for a guy you call out of the bullpen that can't throw strikes. And sometimes that strike zone is more elusive than other times. No activity in the bullpen except Mac Jenkins sauntering from the bench to the sunflower seed collection. Oh, now he's got a towel, and we're going to get Ryan Matthews going.
Mark Reynolds has struck out and singled sharply into right. Cardinals about hit the Reds 7-3, outscored them so far 6-0. Boy, Ballister just really having trouble locating. Reynolds with a dozen home runs this year, now 236 of them in his career. This one gets out of play, 2-1. When you look at the numbers of Reynolds, the one thing that just jumps out at you on the stat sheet are the strikeout numbers. He's led his league in strikeouts on 4 different occasions. He struck out over 1,500 times in his career, more than 1 every 3 times up, about 1 every 2.5 times up he has struck out. $1,500 strikeouts for Reynolds, and we were talking earlier about Yogi Berra, who passed away late last night. What was the number? 414 times in his career that he struck out in a 19-year big league career. Reynolds struck out 223 times in 1 year.
Well, it's obviously a different era. You can blame it on whatever you want, but you can really pin the real truth behind the approach. I mean, Mark Reynolds is one of the first players I remember who really has never changed his approach depending on what the count is. I mean, whether he's behind the count, no balls and 2 strikes, or had 3 balls and 1 strike, he is hacking for a home run no matter what.
He rips that ball into the corner. That's going to add to the Cardinal lead. Piscotty scores. Grichuk will score. 8-0 St. Louis.
Now, the Cardinals have been looking for a game like this in the month of September for a long time because they have not scored much at all. In fact, they came into last night's ball game averaging just a little over 3 runs per game. But tonight, it's been a whole different story. 8 of them are in, and there's a lot of baseball to be played.
Brian Price wastes no time. He'd seen enough of Colin Ballister, who will exit this game. Reds will make a pitching change. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. It's been all St. Louis. This Randall Grichuk home run in the second inning is 17th of the year. Got the scoring started, made it 1-0. Matt Carpenter with a runner aboard in the third, the first of the 2 home runs he has hit tonight. That's his first 2-run shot in the third. His second, it came in the 5th inning with Lance Lynn aboard, second time this year. Carpenter's had a multi-home run game. He did it against the Rockies. He does it here against the Reds. Home run number 26, a career best for Carpenter. That's tonight's Honda game summary. Bottom of the 6th inning, the Cardinals now lead it 8-0. Ryan Matthews will come on, try to put out the fire here.
Now, Matthews, like Ballister, was picked up from another organization. Ballister traded over in a minor league deal from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Matthews picked up off the waiver wire earlier this year, back in the middle of May, from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and he's done a pretty admirable job all year long.
Cruz has walked and hit into a double play. to Frazier. He'll look the runner back and get the first out here in the bottom of the 6th. Matt Adams will bat for Lance Lynn. So the big right-hander out of Brownsburg will go 6 shutout innings in this game. Cardinals have action. Lefty Tyler Lyons going in their bullpen. Adams, the other side of really, I guess, one of 3 everyday players that the Cardinals have had out for a good portion of the year. Adams missed 93 games. The right quad strain. Holiday 65 games with a quad strain. John Jay on the DL a couple of times with a left wrist injury. They play Adams to pull. He hits the ball the other way. That'll get a run home, and it is 9-0 Cardinals. Right between the legs of Reynolds to avoid being hit by that ball.
Well, we've seen this happen before with Matt Adams, and I know he doesn't do it all the time, or else the Reds would not shift him the way they do, but he has beaten the shift against the Reds seemingly more than not. That a seeing eye base hit right through the wickets. Mark Reynolds is going to hold, and whoop. That's the way you do it, and he ends up coming around to score anyhow.
Now they will lift Adams for a pinch runner. This is Pete Kozma, who takes over running for Adams. Brandon Moss is batting for Matt Carpenter. So Carpenter gets half a game off. He goes 2 for 3 with a pair of 2-run homers. Moss bats for him. We talked about at the top of the broadcast that Lance Lynn had really struggled in the month of September, but tonight any indication he got it going in the right direction now.
Well, you know, maybe it's the Reds that got him well, because he has pitched very well against the Reds over the last few times out there, and maybe it was a coincidence of his ankle getting better at the right time or making a mechanical adjustment in the bullpen. But not only did he get better, the Cardinal offense got better.
Lynn threw 89 pitches of 6 innings of no-run 3-hit baseball. Didn't walk a batter. Matthews trying to get the final out here in the bottom of the 6th. Pham is 1 for 3. Ballister gives up 3 runs, 2 walks, a hit, did not retire a batter. Matthews came on after 3 batters to replace Ballister. Greg Garcia, who took over in the batting order for Matt Holliday, is on deck. Tough play at the backhand that thing, and it took a hop at the end. He knocks it down. Pham is aboard.
Well, Frazier's made so many of those backhanded plays like that. You expect to make every one. That had a lot of spin on it, and they'll give him a base hit. Deservingly so.
Cosma down to second base. Third hit of the inning by the Cardinals to go along with those 2 walks. Like Reds pitchers have walked 3 tonight, and all of those have come around to score. So it's Greg Garcia. First time he's been to the plate. Garcia this year had a fine year at AAA Memphis, where he played 90+ games down there with their AAA club. He hit .294, drove in 36, stole 16. Years old, actually made his big league debut last year in 14 games. A lot more playing time for him up here this year. Bosch awaits this one, and the inning is over. The Cardinals add 3 more, and after 6, now lead this game 9-0. Now just 16 days away, right here in your home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio. All sorts of changes for the Cardinals as we enter the 7th inning of this game. Most notably the man on the mound, left-hander Tyler Lyons, takes over for the starter Lance Lynn.
Well, nice outing for Lance Lynn. 6 innings of shutout baseball. They held the Reds to only 3 hits, were never really threatened. And whatever was ailing Lance Lynn, he got well tonight. 3 strikeouts and not walk a batter. And it was control that was really his problem. In fact, last Friday against the Chicago Cubs, in 3 innings, Lance Lynn walked 6. Tonight he walked none. Tyler Lyons, 6 feet 4 inches, a left-hander from Lubbock, Texas.
He is one of the many changes. Talking about Lyons in the Cardinal lineup, we'll set those for you as Votto leads things off here in the 7th. Reds on the short end of a 9-0 score. Votto hits a line, drive to center, and that's going to get out of here. Reds are on the board. Votto's 29th of the year comes on a first pitch against the left-hander Lyons, and it is 9-1.
Guy is amazing. I mean, he is simply amazing. Little get-ahead fastball right there. This is no cheapie out here to center field at Busch Stadium either.
Well, Votto now only 1 home run away from his 2nd career 30 home run season. MVP year of 10, he hit 37. Following year he hit 29. Now he's sitting at 29 with a week and a half to go. Two home runs on the road trip for Joey. Phillips has struck out twice. New center fielder out there is Peter Borges, and he'll make the play on that ball. Now the batter will be Jay Bruce. Bruce is flied out, grounded out. He's 0 for 2. Into left. Piscotty is out there in left, makes the play. Two out. Talk about all the changes the Cardinals have made defensively. Here's a look at their defense now. Piscotty, Borges is now in center. John Jay has taken over in right. Reynolds, who started at third, went to first, has moved back to third. Cosma stays in at short. Garcia is at second. Moss stays in at first, with Lyons and Cruz now the batter. Hit hard, but Piscotty makes the catch. Suarez is out. After the home run, the Reds go in order, and it is stretch time in St. Louis. at home against the Mets, so make sure you're ready for all the action 30 minutes before the game with Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live pregame presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. 3 of the 4 games in the Mets series right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Tomorrow night, Josh Smith against Steven Matz. Those two squared off in New York. It was Matz's major league debut. Josh Smith, it was his second start. Game is at 7:10, coverage at 6:30.
Well, that is some 4-man rotation that the Mets are going to run out there against the Reds. If you like pitching at all, it is a great weather weekend coming up in Cincinnati, and there will be pitching there worth seeing. Whether it's a young rookie pitcher for the Reds or those very talented foursome that the Mets are bringing to town.
You got to highlight, though, the Friday and Saturday matchups. Anthony DeSclafani against Noah Syndergaard.
Okay.
And Saturday, a 4:10 game, John Lamb against Matt Harvey. Sunday, from a Mets standpoint, you get last year's Rookie of the Year and Jacob deGrom against Keita Sampson, who pitched a pretty good ball game here last night. Brian Pena, by the way, is taking over at first base for Joey Votto.
I thought it was only spring training on half the field. Looks like we're making all sorts of changes here. Jumbo Diaz is the 4th pitcher of the game for Brian Price.
He'll be thrown out by Ivan DeJesus Jr., who was taken over for Phillips at second.
Well, for Jumbo, this is the 5th game that he has been in on this 9-game road trip. And he's done well in every one of those except his last game, and that was in Milwaukee, where he gave up a couple of runs and 3 walks. But I say 5th game, and he'll be working on 5 innings. When you compare that to Aroldis Chapman, who in this entire trip has been in 3 ball games.
Goes back to the I say age-old debate, certainly since Chapman has been here. There are those who say he's the best pitcher you have on this team. You'd like to see him pitch more, but when he's in the role that he's in, you're not going to see him as often as you'd like.
Well, there's an acronym in the investment world called return on investment. And if you don't pitch him, you're not getting much return. I'm not saying you would have made any difference in a 9-1 ball game, but are you even going to bring him in here to get a tune-up? Because you've got, you have no days off with the Mets coming into town.
Right.
You got a weekend series. Then the Reds are going to play another game next Monday in Washington, a rained-out makeup game. So that's just the way baseball is sometimes. But you make your plan and you hope that it works out.
Bosch onto the warning track to haul that ball in off the bat of Stephen Piscotty for the first out here in the home 7th. Check that, the second out of the inning. Now Peter Borges bats. He took over in center field for Tommy Pham. Cardinals went down in order in the first against Brandon Finnegan. Have not done so since. In fact, other than the 4th, they have scored in every inning since then. Jumbo trying to set them down in order here in the 7th. Oh, that one's hit very well by Borges. He hit the 4th home run of the game for the Cardinals. 4th Peter Bourjos is in the thralls of a terrible slump. Came into this series, 1 for his last 31. He gets the home run here.
Wow. This is a thumping.
Here's Mark Reynolds. That's a fair ball. The third hit of the night for Mark Reynolds will be his second double. Reynolds came in hitting but .230. He bumped that average a little bit tonight. A dozen hits now for St. Louis. Tony Cruz. Ian Piscotty and Reynolds, the only starters for St. Louis that have played the entire game. Mike Matheny has taken advantage of the big lead to rest some of his everyday players. They have Milwaukee coming in for 4 games over the weekend, beginning tomorrow night. Talked about on Monday the fact that this Cardinal team, which has a magic number of 8 to clinch the division going into tonight, played very, very well against teams with sub 500 records.
Well, you know, it's funny because at the end of the year, they don't ask you who you beat. They ask you how many times you won. And right now, the Cardinals are atop of the pack. So they must be playing decently against teams that are at 500 or above.
Well, they're 53-27 against teams under 500, but they are 42-29 against teams over 500. So yeah, you're exactly right. Suarez will throw out Cruz, puts an end to the bottom of the 7th. Green, presented by your Tri-State Chevy dealers. For tickets, you can call 513-381-RED. You can visit select Kroger locations, or you can go to reds.com/tickets. A lot going on this weekend when the Mets are in town. Meanwhile, a new pitcher for the Cardinals as they head to the top of the 8th inning. Their third, this is Miguel Sokolovic, who will enter the game.
Sokolovic is a well-traveled 29-year-old right-hander that originally signed an international deal with the Boston Red Sox in 2004. He is from Caracas, Venezuela. He's also played in the big leagues for the Orioles and Chicago Cubs. He's played over in Japan for the Hiroshima Carp. And he gets his shot here as the third pitcher of the night for Mike Matheny.
Cardinals also have a new catcher in Travis Tartamea. Takes over for Tony Pena, pardon me, for Tony Cruz. Sokolovic uses all of that height of his and fields that ball. Throws out Bosch. Reds haven't had much to talk about offensively tonight. There's Tartamea behind the plate. A leadoff base hit in the third by Bosch. Barnhart hit into a double play. Back-to-back hits in the fourth really was their best crack when the game was not out of hand. 2 on with 1 out against Lynn. Phillips struck out. Bruce bounced out. Other than that, they've had 1 base runner. That was the Votto home run in the 7th. So quiet night offensively by this Reds team. Tucker Barnhart 0 for 2. Man behind the plate, Travis Tartamea, making his big league debut in this game for St. Louis tonight. Veteran, many years of minor league baseball. 7 years in the minor leagues. This year 40 games at Memphis. They needed some backup here, particularly after September the 1st, when Molina unable to play. Barnhart pops up. Stay with us after the game. We'll talk all about it on Reds Live post game, presented by Performance Kings Honda. Jim will get the reaction down in the dugout, clubhouse. Reds will pack things up, head on back to Cincinnati, and start a 4-game series against the Mets tomorrow night at Great American Ballpark. Pena bats with 2 out.
Well, the Reds knew it would not be easy going down the stretch and playing against the teams that were still in contention. Of course, when they went to play the Giants needed a lot of other help in order to get back into even the wild card race there. They have not gotten that help, but the Reds did lose 2 out of 3 there on this trip. They did take 2 out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers. Had a chance to sweep that, but lost the end of the getaway game on Sunday. And have come in here and shown that there is a divide between the Reds and the Cardinals.
Milwaukee leading at Chicago tonight 4-1. Things stay the way they are there, and they stay the way they are here. And Brewer Club will flip-flop positions in the NL Central with the Reds.
Yeah, that is Zach Davies, the little right-hander that looked more like a bat boy. But he is evidently throwing the ball real well tonight in his effort against the Cubs.
Pirates are leading 7-6 at Colorado. That's in the 5th inning. Pena called out on strikes, disagrees with Phil Cuzzy's interpretation of that pitch.
That's a 10-1 strike zone there.
And the Reds go down in order for the 5th time in the game. Jumbo Diaz. Hey, you know, we failed to mention Chris yesterday, and it was our mistake, but want to pass along congratulations to former Reds manager Pete Mackanin, who has been named the manager for the Phillies full-time as of 2 days ago.
Well, that's really good to know because he's 3-time been an interim manager, so we can just take that business card and make a little adjustment right here for you, Pete.
Interim manager with the Pirates, then with the Reds back in 07. They played pretty darn well for him back in 07. Despite that, he was not named the manager. It said Dusty Baker was named manager for the Reds. And this year, when Ryan Sandberg resigned abruptly the end of June, Pete was named interim manager. He had been the bench coach. 2 days ago, he was given the managerial job for the rest of this year as the full-time manager. Will take over next year at Manager Club, and the team has an option for 2017 on Pete. We are thrilled beyond belief for Pete Mackanin. His team, the Phillies, have actually are close to the 500 mark since the All-Star break.
Well, I know he made a lot of fans and friends in his brief time in Cincinnati. And that is not the way to get it going if you're Contreras, as he comes in here and walks the first batter that he faces, the same way that Colin Ballister did before he was gone after 3 batters. The Reds have not walked, meaning the hitters on the Reds team have not received 1 base on balls from the Cardinals yet tonight.
Now Brandon Moss, who struck out in the 6th inning in his first plate appearance of the night, in the leadoff spot in the Cardinal order, bats here. That one way out of the strike zone.
Well, you know, while we have a second, we ought to wish Billy Hamilton all the luck in the world tomorrow.
Indeed.
Actually, we should be lucky. That would be on Friday.
Right.
I mean, I guess he'll be in there early Friday morning. I don't know if Dr. Tim Kremchek is performing the surgery, or he'll be there, obviously. But we wish him a lot of luck, too.
Arthroscopic surgery on his right shoulder.
Yeah.
Barnhart has a play on this ball. Oh, and he couldn't quite get there.
That ball was up there.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen two of the highest pop-ups that we've seen all year long. One was off the bat of Todd Frazier, corralled by Johnny Peralta. And as this goes up, you see that Barnhart locates it. He gets rid of his mask. And now it's just going to got a lot of spin on it, and it's really going to take off on him. I mean, that looks like it's really easy until you try to catch one.
No doubt about it. When they're that high.
You know, they've done that down in fantasy camp before. They've got a machine, like a pitching machine, but it throws pop-ups instead of pitches.
All right.
And they get that baby and they angle it straight up in the air, and they get some of the fantasy campers out there and they crank that baby up and they try to catch him.
I bet that's comedic.
Yeah, at the very least. Some of those guys ought to keep the masks on, by the way, while they attempt to catch him. Doug Flynn can tell you all about that.
Bosch coming in. Bosch still coming in, and Bosch makes the play. Well, the most popular way to follow the action of Reds baseball is with MLB.com at bat. #1 app for live baseball. You can enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcast, and more. That's MLB.com at bat. Get that app now. Base hit into right. Travis Tartamea in his big league debut goes up there hacking and singles into right field. Boy, that young man at 27 years old, can you imagine how he feels right now? He'll throw that ball out of play.
Well, he was just called up to the major leagues the other day when Yadier Molina was put on the list, or injured that thumb tendon. I don't even know if he's on the disabled list or not, but they needed somebody else to catch, so they brought up Tartamea, who was ranked last year the best defensive catcher in the Cardinal organization. So
Well,
in that respect, he's a little like Tucker Barnhart.
Got himself his first big league hit.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. This is Greg Garcia now. They get one. They do not get the runner at first, Garcia. Broken back ground ball by Garcia. Results in the force out at second. Now John Jay will come up there and bat for the first time in this series. You're right. Jay grounded out back in the seventh, so for the second time in this game and in the series. With the runners at the corners and two out here in the bottom of the eighth. Reds in the ninth will have the top of the order. With all the changes being made now, that means Schumacher, Frazier, and DeJesus. Down 10-1, out hit 13-4. Going to be swept in this series. DeJesus. He will throw out Jay. And the Reds will come up in the 9th inning. Down 10-1.
Over the Reds, but we're going to look at our Cholula flamethrower anyway. This flamethrower by Lance Lynn. He ended up getting Joey Votto on a strikeout on a fastball, 93 miles an hour. We will call that our flamethrower, brought to you by our friends at Cholula Hot Sauce.
Meanwhile, another pitcher on for the Cardinals. This is Sam Tuivailala into the game.
Very good.
He'll try to close things out for St. Louis. Pittsburgh, the team immediately behind the Cardinals, are leading 7-6 at Colorado in the 6th. Cubs have lost their game 4-1. That could put the elimination number of the Cubs down to 4. Pittsburgh hangs on and wins. Cardinals' magic number would be down to 7 to clinch the Central. Schumacher leads it off against Tuivailala. Skip in this game is 0 for 3. Still on the road trip. He's had a nice trip. 7 out of 20 right now. Driven in a couple of runs. Into this series hoping for a Red sweep, and if they could have gotten it, they would have won the season series against St. Louis for the first time since 06. Pardon me, since 2011. But instead, it looks like they're going to end up at the other end of that, meaning they will end the year against the Cardinals 7 wins and 12 losses. Schumacher, meanwhile, is 8 hit, 21 at bats on the trip. And now is Frazier. And got away from the catcher, Tartamea. Tonight a hit. He's 1 for 3.
Well, Tuivailala is just one of many very hard-throwing young pitchers that they have in the Cardinal organization. He has been clocked at as high as 100 miles an hour or slightly above. He averages around 97. Young man from San Mateo, California. And if you talk to Cardinals minor league people, they'll tell you that they have a covey of 3 youngsters in there at their A-ball level that have all pitched at 100 miles an hour this year. So they keep coming along. Of course, the Reds are boasting about a lot of great arms coming through the organization themselves. And we've seen a lot of them here in this starting rotation experiment, whether you're running out rookie after rookie. We've had some very pleasant games, some nice surprises.
John Lamb, thinking of Lamb and thinking of the game that Finnegan had the other day against Milwaukee, really going back to last night. Eva Sampson, 5 1/3 of 1-run baseball. Of course, Anthony DeSclafani has been, I wouldn't say a surprise.
DeSclafani's keeping his eye on Lamb, isn't he?
Talked earlier about our Ohio Data Strong fan of the game, brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's what we have tonight. Jerry and friends enjoying Reds baseball. Remember to tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Again, brought to you by T-Mobile. DeJesus Jr. bats for the first time. Chasing it out there is Jay into the corner. Jay, he can't come up with it. This is going to chase a run home. Schumacher will score. DeJesus on his way to third, and he is in there with a triple, his second of the year. And it is 10-2.
I'll tell you, every time you turn around, Ivan DeJesus Jr. is doing something right. I mean, he has been very impressive for one of the extra guys that doesn't get consistent playing time. He comes ready to play, and he hits this ball a long way. I think he really surprises John Jay, who nearly makes a beautiful catch down there. Sliding, trying to grab that ball as he was worried about running into the wall. So nice job by DeJesus Jr. Adam Duvall comes in to pinch hit for Brandon Phillips. Or was he already in the game?
Actually, for Contreras, yeah, who pitched the eighth.
You know, Tuivailala, the hard-throwing right-hander you see on the mound right here, was a third-round draft pick for the Cardinals, but he's one of many Cardinal players that they've drafted as a position player. Got him out of high school. He was all set to go to Fresno State. And he decided to take the Cardinals offer instead, but he was an outfielder and third baseman. And they gave him a year or so in the minor leagues to hit, and he hit .220. So they said, you know, we like your arm better than we like your bat. And they must have a half a dozen examples of like that up and down their minor league system. Of course, maybe the most famous one of all was Jason Mott, who became a closer for the Cardinals after originally being signed as a catcher.
Duvall struck out. Now it's Bruce, the last gap for the Reds. Jay tonight 0 for 3. And Piscotty is there Cardinals sweep the series. They win this one by the final score of 10-2. They bring out the bats in this one. 13 hits for St. Louis. They lower their magic number now to clinch the NL Central to 7. Could be lowered pending the outcome of that Pirate game. The Reds close out the 9-game road trip, winning 3, losing 6, but unfortunately losing the last 4. They'll be at home tomorrow night against the Mets. 10-2 final. Cardinals a winner. We'll be back with more in a moment.